Welcome back to another message crawler update. Today I want to talk about validating RSMF files. Now, RSMF files are fairly complex in their structure. They're not like just a DAT file, they're not like a DII file, or LFP. They're way more complex. They have they're like a JSON format based, and there's certain required fields, certain not required fields, and sometimes it is hard just by looking at the data to tell whether the file is good or not good. And it's also difficult when you generate programmatically to make sure you account for all the data types and make sure everything went to the right place. That's why Relativity has sort of a plugin or API to validate your RSMF files. And in one of the newer versions of Message Caller, I have implemented that verification. So let me take you to my computer and show you what I did. All right, so you see Message Crawler, and the way I added validation to Message Crawler is in two ways. One, we can go to miscellaneous tools and we can run RSMF validator. So if I click on that, I can choose a folder where I have some RSMF files, and I can click on the button that says scan RSMF files. And this will go to a folder and do what you pretty much expect. It will look through all the RSMF files and it will check whether they're valid or not. And so if you already have existing RSMF files, it's a good idea to scan them with this tool just to make sure they're good and you will not have any problems during your review. So if you get this message passed, you are good. However, if we scroll down, I have some RSMF files that did error out. And if you look here, the error is a little bit on the long side. This is the way error is generated by Relativity's API, so I don't have too much control of it. But what this error says is that the person is missing from a conversation because this is a channel communication and the person, they either did not join or did not leave, and then they're in the conversation. So there is something screwy going on with the way the channel data is structured. Now, often that I noticed, these these error types, non-join events, they're not super critical. They're more of a warning level event. But since you have it and you got the message, it's a good idea to investigate. So this is the validator that can look at folder of RSMF files, scan through them, and confirm whether they comply with Relativity standard or not. Now, of course, I don't want you guys doing this every time you perform an export. So Message Crawler will automatically scan RSMF files as they being generated by Message Crawler. Now, so the question you would ask is like, well, why would Message Crawler generate bad RSMF files? And it deals with the data that goes into it. Message Crawler has no control over the data that goes into it, and sometimes bad data can make it into the DAT files, into the Slack containers, JSON files, Google Hangouts, whichever, and then that data can pass through and make it into an RSMF file. And because of that, after the file has been written to disk, it goes through a validation process. Downside of this, of course, this does slow down the process a little bit, but being that this is a multi-threaded application, it shouldn't be as noticeable, but it does slow things down. I made it mandatory because I feel like you absolutely have to validate your RSMF files, and that's what the software will do. And so at the end of the process, there is an error log button that you have seen on the screen, and the error log will pop up if there are any errors. And if you just want to sort of examine the results, you can click on the error log and click on messages and see that everything says okay. So that's my addition to Message Crawler, RSMF validation. It's an important step. If you get any errors, you should investigate. You should see what's going on. The most common reason you would see errors is that your data is not sorted in chronological order. So you'll get a message saying first message is before start date or after start date. So there's going to be like a date related error message, and that would indicate that you did not sort your data before converting to RSMF. While those files will work on relativity, the metadata that gets extracted into RSMF begin date time and end date time will not be correct, even though RSMF file will work just fine. So if you don't rely on those fields, doesn't matter. Those messages will be sorted for you automatically by viewer. I'm pretty sure it'll do it. But the metadata fields will be incorrect. Yeah, so that's the update for message crawler validation. Now it is done automatically for every export, and if you have RSMF files from the other software that you want to validate and make sure they're going to be fine, you can use the validator, or if you generate RSMF files with a previous message crawler, you can validate those as well. All right, that's it for the update. Questions, comments in the comments section, please, or actually probably just email me. Anyway, talk to you guys later.